Hey, what's going on? Luke here, and we're obviously here to do a video talking about the New South Wales Blues and their Game 2 side for the 2023 State of Origin series. Now, I've had all day to sort of think about this and reflect on the side and sort of come up with some thoughts, and I don't know how clear my thoughts are. I don't know how well I'm going to express this in this video, but just be aware that this is going to be a bit ranty, I have a feeling. You've seen in the past me talking about State of Origin and talking about the sides directly after Game 1, and I was very ranty in that one, and it seemed to be quite popular. And I feel like I'm going to get quite ranty in this one. Now, just before we go and talk about the actual side, I'll give you the side. So, at fullback, you have Tedesco. On the wings, you have To'o and Adaka. It's the same backline as what they originally picked for Game 1. Latrell just comes in. Other than that, it's all the same. You have Jerome White in the 6, and then coming in the number 7, which is something I'm going to be talking about a lot, and not particularly in a bad way, but I will be talking about it. Mitchell Moses comes into the number 7 role. And also for hooker, Damien Cook comes in, replaces Abby Coruscant, obviously an injury there, a forced change. The front row is Junior Paulo and Payne Haas. You have Tyson Frizzell, Hudson Young, and Isaiah Yeo. So the back row is exactly the same. The same back row that did not much, kind of got dominated, apart from Frizzell, played very poorly. They're exactly the same. Then the bench, there's a few changes here. We have Stefano Utakamanu. I just call him Stefano. I probably butchered the last name there. Generally, I just call him Stefano. We have Cam Murray. We have Liam Martin. And we have Reece Robinson. And then 18th and 19th man. Not that it's that important. As we've seen, they seem to pull out. We have Stephen Crichton and Keon Kalamantangi. First off, I just want to say Kalamantangi on each centre bench. Going into Game 1, he would have been someone I probably would have picked in the side at some point based on form and that sort of stuff. Obviously, he got injured or suspended or whatever it was. That's how Hudson Young sort of got his opportunity. Hudson Young did nothing really to retain his spot, and Liam Martin was the best player, so you'd think, oh, he's naturally going to start. And Cam Murray was also the other best forward in my opinion. So naturally, they're going to be your starters, and naturally, they aren't the starters because Brad Fittler is he's the coach, and he doesn't seem to go with what the logical solution is. And you might be thinking like, well, what's a logical solution for some of the other sort of things? I can't just use that as one example. I got plenty of examples on where he applies some logic and then he sort of goes against it, and I can't keep up with Brad Fittler's selections and his reasons for selections. And I know he doesn't come out and give an out-and-out reason, but let's use Mitchell Moses. He's going to be the big one. In fact, let's use Latrell Mitchell coming in. He's someone in the past who's been a victim of Brad Fittler and just his politics, I would say. I don't know if that's the right word, but just his politics in selecting people, and we'll get to the forwards, and that's kind of where I think it becomes very, very obvious. But Latrell Mitchell is someone, he's a victim. Josh Adaka, another one, who have been dropped, and you can't really pinpoint a reason why they were dropped. It's like not like they were playing absolutely terrible. I know Latrell at the time, I remember him getting pumped in the media about his game in Origin, how he didn't care and all that sort of stuff. But Latrell Mitchell is Latrell Mitchell. You've got to pick him. That's exactly why he's getting picked at the moment. I know he's in good form, but he's the sort of guy who Brad Fittler has now shown that he'll pick him regardless. Like, he's not going into Game 2 with a lot of form, same as Tom Trbojevic. So he takes chances on some players, your Tavita Penguys and such. So he is willing to take chances on players. Reece Robinson is another one on the bench. So it's sort of baffling because he'll take chances on some players, and I don't know if this is just like a gut instinct or whatever, but it's seemed very, very random on why he would take chances on some players, but why he won't take chances on others. So like I said, if he won't take chances on Latrell Mitchell at times. And then I just went on a little tangent about Latrell Mitchell and Josh Adaka, and it's not really relevant to this game, but at the same time, it kind of is in reflecting about the rest of the side, if that makes sense. So obviously, the big talking point is going to be Mitchell Moses in the number 7, and all the debate of Nico Hines. Is he going to be the number 7? Is he going to be the number 6? Should he be in the side? Should he be on the bench? Do you find a spot for him? Now, in Game 1, I was pretty firm in the belief that either you pick him to start or you don't pick him at all. Matt Burton's a much better utility guy if they're going to go for utility. In the past, they've had Jack Whiten who can sort of cover that same sort of role. They went with Nico Hines. He got found out. The rest is history for Nico Hines. He came back, he played one bad game after a Dally M season, started off the season super hot, has one very poor performance. It was a bad one, but at the same time, one poor performance, and it looks like, I don't think he get dropped on one performance, so it looks like he was never going to get picked anyways. We've gone Mitchell Moses, comes out, smashes my Bulldogs, who are in the race for the wooden spoon, as he sort of does. Parramatta Eels are known for being sort of a side that can absolutely pummel a team who's sort of towards the bottom of the ladder but seems to struggle against the top sort of sides, unless it's the Penrith Panthers. Mitchell Moses has done nothing in his career that says that he's an origin sort of player. And let me just say, I don't necessarily hate the Mitchell Moses pick. I like Mitchell Moses as a player. I think he's a great player. But if you're going to go off like big games or whatever, and the whole argument against Nico Hines is against top 8 sides, they seem to struggle, and he's never won a finals game and all that sort of stuff. But that logic too, look how long it took for Mitchell Moses to sort of win a finals game. Parramatta are definitely a side that seems to be one season they go really good, one season they go really bad. And when they've come to the big dance, they got beat in the grand final, and they lucked into sort of getting into the grand final. He's actually played for New South Wales and arguably like didn't play very well. Him and Jack White won the halves combination. The first 2 games, New South Wales won by like 50 and 40 and all that sort of stuff. Then the third game that he played, they came out and lost. Obviously, it's not his fault that they came out and lost straight up, but he was in the side, so it's not like he's not had a chance. You've had Nico Hines come in, you chucked him in the centres, a position that he's never played before, and I think I saw one person say, oh, he played a couple of games in reserve grade in the centres. That's not the point. He didn't even play first grade. He's not even played a second of first grade. And you want to talk about defence and all that sort of stuff. You chuck him in a position where he barely... Like, he's never played there before. The centre is always talked about as being the hardest position to defend because you don't know whether to come in, slide, all that sort of stuff. You talk to any centre, see any of the centres, they've done plenty of interviews in the past on the Bloke podcast and all that sort of stuff. It's just sort of a common knowledge at this point that the centre position is the hardest one to defend. And obviously you chuck him in there and he gets found out. Like, it's not exactly surprising. I know it was a one-on-one miss, but... you just chuck him fresh on the field in a high-pressure situation. It's just, I feel like anyone in that same predicament, Reece Robson, I'm looking at you, would have done the exact same thing. So the whole argument on why Nico Hines didn't get picked, it just kind of doesn't add up because he's been getting picked as, 18th and 19th man for years. Finally gets a spot on the bench. Then all of a sudden, the position that he actually plays is up for grabs. And we're going to go to Mitchell Moses, Brad Fittler's little buddy when he was coaching Lebanon. It's like he's gone straight back to the guys he's familiar with, and that seems to be the common theme for Brad Fittler. If he has a personal problem with you, he will not pick you. And it's not that he has a personal problem with Nico Hines, but it's more so he's got a bond with Mitchell Moses for me. So I feel like as soon as Nathan Cleary went down, he went, all right, I'm going to chuck in Mitchell Moses. We need a dominant player. Jerome Luai is there, and I honestly think that maybe if Nathan Cleary was there, we might have seen Nico Hines in the 6. I kind of have a gut feeling on that one. But obviously, it wasn't meant to be. New South Wales do have a lot of injuries too. I've got to keep that in mind in terms of some selections and sort of reasonings for it. But one thing I don't understand, and I really don't understand this, is that New South Wales were pretty light in the forwards in the first game. Obviously, the big sort of impact came from Liam Martin and Cameron Murray off the bench, and they were your second rowers. And the second rowers, like I said, they sort of didn't really pack a punch. Tyson Frizzell was pretty good, but your Isaiah Yo's and your Hudson Youngs, they were very, very poor in terms of just the overall grand scheme of the game. So what's your solution? New South Wales light on prop to Vita Pengai Jr. He sucked, but they're not going to pick him, especially after his previous game. Oh, so you're going to pick Regal Cam McGillar, you're going to pick David Clemmer, maybe even Saifidi. No, we're going to go with a debutant, Stefano. We're going to chuck him in. He hasn't really got like great stats or not playing in a great team. The form's not that great. Stats aren't that great. But we're just going to go with a gut instinct. It worked out so well for Pengai. We're just going to chuck another roughie in there and just hope for the best in a must-win game in Queensland against a Queensland side who are full of confidence and they're 4-pack strong, and everything kind of screams that Queensland are going to absolutely pummel New South Wales. So what a time to debut a guy like Stefano, and what a time to debut a guy like Reece Robson. Damien Cook coming into the side, I really agree with, and I wanted him in the side to start off with. Obviously, it's been forced upon him, and there was a lot of talk about like Damien Cook wasn't going to get picked and Reece Robson. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. No way. But then also you kind of remember like, oh, it is Brad Fittler. This is definitely a chance of happening. He doesn't seem to apply much logic in his team selection, so they definitely could have went with Reece Robson. Him on the bench, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. In previous years, in previous games, he's always seemed to run with a utility guy. That was Nico Hines' role. Obviously, it didn't work. But it didn't work because it was the wrong player. Not because they don't need a utility. A utility is obviously useful. It's so good having a utility. Queensland done it for years, whether it's Michael Morgan, Cooper Cronks did it at some point, Sherry Evans, Kalen Ponga's come off the bench. They always seem to have a guy, and like even Ben Hunt, like he's come on, and Harry Grant as well, but they've come on and played other positions and they've done a job. They've definitely done a job. It's just about how you use them. And Queensland have shown in the past, they've also just shown in general. I talked about this in one of my previous videos, that they just run better. And that just seems to be it. They coach better and they run better. And I don't even know if it's that they coach better. It's just the selection makes sense and everything has a purpose in Queensland. Whereas New South Wales, everyone's left unsure of why things are happening. Whereas Queensland, you go, okay, well, I can understand the logic. So Cooper Cronk, well, he's not quite ready to replace Lockyer and Thurston, but we can just chuck him on. He's a good defender. We can chuck him in there. He can do a job for him. Like, you can understand that. Cherry Evans, all that. There's some sort of logic, and I keep saying this, but this is just a thing Brad Fittler seems to lack. Just some common sense too. And it just proves the point that, you know, just because you're a fantastic player doesn't mean you're a great coach. Yeah, honestly, Brad Fittler's got to go. I'm just starting tangent, rant. Okay, I'm just getting out there, but Reece Robson coming on the bench in a season where the Cowboys last year absolutely killed it, right? I just also want to prove the point here too. Like, hands up if you had Reece Robson in the mix for a New South Wales spot going into game 1 or even game 2. No one? No one? Okay, yeah, no one. No one had him in there. Brad Fittler, I don't even really know whether he had him in contention going into game 1 or anything. I would imagine no, but I don't know. It would always just seem to be Damien Cook, Api Coruscant, and then you had your utility guys like, you know, Nico Hines and Matt Burton, all those sort of guys. Naturally, he goes and picks someone that nobody would have picked in Reece Robson. And also, again, I'm talking about logic, but Api Coruscant for club for years has not played 80. So he picks him to play 80, or, you know, Nico Hines, he's never played hooker, to come on and play hooker. So going into game 2, you have a guy who plays 80 week in, week out. So what does he do? Selects a out-and-out hooker on the bench, a guy who's never played any other position. Yeah, again, it's just a bit of a head scratcher, this one. That's probably the best way to put it. Do I particularly hate this side? No, I don't absolutely hate the side. I know I've used the title of why I hate this New South Wales Blue side, but like I guess hate is a strong word. Do I hate him? Probably not. But do I really dislike this side? Yeah, I do. David Klemmer, I don't know what he's done, who he's done it to. Brad Fittler, I guess. But like the fact that he doesn't even get tossed up in contention for New South Wales these days, it actually pains me. I'm a Bulldog supporter. I love when David Klemmer was there. I love the intensity. I love the aggression. I got done in previous videos talking about how Queensland go and pick Origin players. To me, David Klemmer is a guy who can be an Origin player. It all sort of goes back to the last time he ever played for New South Wales. He was arguably the best player in the whole forward pack, maybe on the field, and he got dropped. And then he hasn't played again since. He hasn't been talked about since. You have Regan Campbell-Gillard, who, to me, in my opinion, only didn't play game 1 because he was injured. You think he comes in game 2, sweet. No, they go for Stefano, a guy who hasn't even been killing it. He's not even the best prop at his own club. And that's the second time this. In the Bulldogs, the Vita Pengai, Max King's better than him. At the Tigers, David Klemmer is better than Stefano. Now, you know, Stefano may go on to have a fantastic career. He might come out and play a great game, and I hope he does. But this doesn't take away, like, whatever the result and whatever the outcome is of this, it doesn't take away the fact that this is a very strange selection. And Fittler has shown that in some instances he goes with form and other instances he doesn't. And to me, it's so confusing. And I wish he'd come out and actually explain selections and say, hey, I've picked Mitchell Moses because I like his kicking game. You know, Nathan Cleary's not there. Nico doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But they don't seem to do it. And the media really doesn't seem to sort of dig into Fittler as much as what they probably should. And not probably should, but as much as what they would to other coaches. And that's, I think, purely because of his role in the media. And, you know, they're crossing to him mid-game and having interviews with him in the box and all that sort of stuff. But if this side was picked by Queensland, you wouldn't see half of these guys picked, and that's just the honest truth. And look, I'm not going to say Queensland always get their selections right, but 9 times out of 10 they do. In New South Wales, we see it here series after series, whether it's a win or a loss, and we still, and especially with Fittler there, we've had a few wins, but I think they've been in spite of Brad Fittler, and I think everybody kind of knows that. And it's just, I feel like it's time for him to go. It really is time for him to go. And a part of me, as much as I want New South Wales to win, like, it's such like a terrible thing to say, but, you know, if Queensland are going to come out and win, absolutely belt us, please. Just come out and do it so we can get rid of Fittler. None of this like it was close or anything like that. Fittler's got to go, man. Like, he's got to go because he's weighing down New South Wales, and that's the honest truth. And I know it's such like a Queensland, New South Wales thing where I don't think you'd see Queenslanders bagging out their own coach and their own team, but at the same time, Queensland, they don't pick sides like New South Wales. Queensland haven't really been in a spot like New South Wales at the moment. So for Queensland fans, like, you got to understand, things are very, very different. So if you're in our spot, you'd probably be thinking the exact same thing. And let's be honest with that one. So you think of club footy. There's definitely been times where, you know, you just need your coach to go. And there's definitely time you come into games where you're like, oh man, if we win here, he might get away with it. And for New South Wales, like if Fittler comes out and they end up winning at Suncorp and they lose a series or whatever, there's always going to be that, oh, well, they got close and they got the win at Suncorp. So look, if New South Wales don't win this one, just come out and absolutely belt us. Don't give us any little question marks. Come out and smack us. And then, guys, that's my little rant on the side. Hopefully you did enjoy that one. I don't know if enjoy is the word, but hopefully you sort of agree. Let me know in the comment section below whether you do agree and what are your thoughts overall on this New South Wales side. Got a little bit ranty there, but it is what it is. It's going to be talked about. State of Origin just always gets us quite passionate. So that's the beauty of State of Origin, sort of gets your emotions going. So yeah, look, if you happen to enjoy that one, leave a like on it and subscribe. Meant to do that at the start of the video, but leave a like on it. The more likes, the better. It really, really grows the channel. And also, if you haven't subscribed already, if you can go ahead and do that, that'd be very much appreciated. And also, if you'd like to support the channel even further, go ahead and become a member. There's a little link in the description below, or I think next to my name should be like a join button, seeing all the current members on the screen right now. Getting a lot more new viewers at the moment too, so if you could go ahead and become a member, maybe even leave a super chat as well if you're in the live streams. Shout out to Sporty Man. Kudos to you, man. Massive donations. He's donated, what, like 240 bucks over the last week or so. So shout out to you, man. Much appreciated. It definitely doesn't go unnoticed, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sporty Man. Thank you, Techno. All the ones who've done some in recent times. Also, if you'd like to give me a follow on social media, it's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. It includes my Instagram, TikTok, you know, Twitter, all that sort of stuff. Just give me a follow, give me an ad. And look, I'm going to wrap things up here. Definitely going to be doing a lot more videos on State of Origin, so stay tuned for that. And look, I'll see you for the next one. See yous.